What is going on, Hive Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to talk about something important, something that I do get from time to time. Why am I gaining weight with intermittent fasting? That's an interesting question, considering that intermittent fasting is supposed to help you actually lose weight. Well, let's go ahead and break it down in this video. Stay tuned. Alright guys, quickly before we start, this video is brought to you by yours truly, Fledge Fitness and the Fledge Fitness Jump Rope. If you haven't gotten yours yet, what are you waiting for? With an ergonomic design, aluminum handle, and swivel design, you can't go wrong with the Fledge Fitness Jump Rope. Only $16.50. You can click on the top right hand corner of this video or down in the description box below. And of course, as always guys, thank you so much for your support. Now let's go ahead and jump right into the video. I'm going to get the first obvious one quickly out of the way. And I know that people say, oh my gosh, I sound like I'm beating a dead horse, or like I'm beating on the same drum, whatever the figurative speech is. But the first thing, just to get it out of the way, is calorie control. If you are doing intermittent fasting and you are using it as the get out of jail free card, where you don't have to think about anything and you're gaining weight, I get it if you're doing it and you're not gaining weight and you're losing weight at the rate that you want to lose weight, then have at it. Keep going, I guess, until there's some type of resistance. But if you're doing it and gaining weight and saying, well, this ain't working for me and I'm not counting calories, well, I don't know who you're fooling. You have to count calories. And I get it. A lot of people don't want to count calories, and intermittent fasting, because you're creating such a small window of eating, actually helps a lot of people eat less, simply because they're not eating so much throughout the day. They're not grazing on food throughout the day. But if you find yourself gaining weight while doing intermittent fasting, but yet still refusing to count calories, then really, I don't know what else to tell you. You do need to start counting calories in a scenario where you are gaining weight and intermittent fasting. So wanted to get that out the way. Counting calories is important, because the calories you take in and the calories you burn is what's going to determine weight loss. Intermittent fasting helps you effectively burn body fat, so having the majority of that weight loss come from body fat. Now let's talk about number two, which kind of bounces off of number one. Believe it or not, when people apply an intermittent fasting system, they actually tend to reduce energy expenditure. So if you did eat a certain amount of calories and it worked for you, before you did intermittent fasting, but then you're doing intermittent fasting now and that same amount of calories isn't working for you, it can be, there is a possibility that you have also reduced your activity. Many people reduce their activities when they start intermittent fasting, or when they're the beginning parts of intermittent fasting, simply because of just the lack of concentration or energy. Really, it comes from the power of suggestion. Just because we've been stigmatized or polarized to look at fasting as, if you're not eating, you're tired. Don't do an energetic event or anything that requires fitness or heavy lifting or anything that requires a vast amount of energy if you don't have the energy recently put into your body. People forget that we have energy stored in our bodies. That is what body fat is. It is actually stored energy. Your body could decide to use that stored energy. You don't need recent energy for you to complete a specific task. So because you are fasting for most of the days when you're doing intermittent fasting, or you're not eating for most of the days, a lot of people look at those moments like moments where they can't really do anything. Because if they do, they'll be so lethargic and tired, they'll be ineffective, and therefore they rather just calm it down, not do so much, not go to the gym, not do that little bike ride or whatever it is, not do so much. So, and then maybe do a little bit after they eat, reducing the potential, the possibilities that you can go out and ride a bike or walk or run or jump rope or whatever it is that you want to do, or even go to the gym. A lot of people say, well, if intermittent fasting helps me lose weight and it's as good as they say, I'll just use that I'll stop doing these other things because I just can't do them because I'm too tired, or just the perception of thinking that they will be too tired. Please understand that studies show that when you're in a fasted state, your norepinephrine and epinephrine do increase, which is the fight or flight hormones that activate during this time, which increases your levels of concentration, can increase your levels of focus, and increases your level of activity because you're in that fight or flight mode. You're in a heightened mode for physical activity, believe it or not. So you could use this to your advantage and know that you have stored energy, body fat, that you can utilize during this period. So don't let the fact that you are in a fasted state for the majority of the day keep you from doing more activities. Thus, you are burning less calories. So the calories that you were eating before aren't going to work now. And let's go on and move to number 3. Eating non-satiating foods, so foods that are not filling. Good foods to eat are protein type meals. They tend to be higher in satiety, which makes you feel satisfied with what you're eating. You want to do this because, especially when you're first starting out, you kind of view your food or your meals as your last chance to consume something for the day. If you eat something that is not satisfying, you may actually break your intermittent fasting regimen and break them on a consistent level. Although you may not break them for 2 days, you'll break them on the 3rd day, not break them for 2 days again, break them on the 6th day. Whatever it is, you'll just be sporadically breaking your fast because you'll feel, well, you'll start justifying in your head, well, I didn't really eat what I needed to eat. I didn't really eat much. I didn't really eat this or that, or I didn't do this or that. And you'll actually start eating. And without knowing it, you may end up actually going above your caloric limit by the end of the week. When you collect everything, you may have lost weight on Monday, gained weight on Tuesday, lost weight on Wednesday and Thursday, but then Friday really gained it all back. Saturday lost a little bit, Sunday gained it back and then some. Because remember, caloric intake and calorie expenditure is not just rooted or confined into a box of a single day. Although that's how we look at it, we kind of try to measure it through a single day to just get a grasp on it, get a good grip on it. But it's actually continuous. It's all the time. It's measured by a day, by 3 days, by 2 days, by a week. What's your energy balance in a week and a half? What's your energy balance in 2 weeks? What's your energy balance for a month? What's your energy balance for a year? All of that is compounded collective information that matters, because if you are at a net positive energy balance at the end of the 2 weeks, then you would have gained weight, even if it's just a half a pound. So you have to keep that in mind. Although you may think you are on the right path because you're fasting for most days, then you're not. If you don't have a good grip on exactly how you're doing this regimen and the consistency on this regimen, you may actually be overeating without knowing. And the final one, eating highly palatable and, to double down on the last statement, non-satiating foods that are high in calories. So these are highly processed foods, tends to be highly processed foods, donuts, things like donuts and breads and stuff like that. The foods that are highly processed that contain a lot of calories, but also don't make you feel full, can make it a very tough task. Now, it's not to say that if you can control for the calories, let's say you want to eat a donut. If you can control for all of that, meaning you know how much calories it is, you know how much calories you have left, you know how much nutrients it gives you, you know how much nutrients you have to put into your body and how much calories that will require. If you want to eat those things, you can, but you have to eat them intelligently. You have to eat them in moderation. You have to know how much of it you can eat before you actually derail everything that you're doing. If you can do that, yes. If you're just eating willy-nilly and not even paying attention to what you're eating and just eating whatever, it's going to be a tough task because it's going to make you want to eat more. So you might eat a lot, get a lot of calories in because these foods aren't even filling. And then you're eating other things that are highly palatable because these things kind of have a domino effect of making you crave or have an appetite for more highly palatable foods. So just keep that in mind. You can eat it, but you have to eat it in moderation and be very aware of how much that is taking away from your total caloric goal for the day and your nutrition goal for the day. If you keep these 4 things in check, there should be no reason why you aren't losing weight with intermittent fasting. I mean, really keep these things in check. Sometimes we tend to forget a lot of things, like what we eat in a car, or what we do, or when we're eating, or when we're snacking on little things. We don't even measure those things. If you really hold yourself accountable to all these 4 things, you will definitely be on the right path to continuous weight loss and body fat loss specifically, which is the more important thing when doing intermittent fasting. Hopefully this video has helped you guys, and of course, as always, I want to thank my patrons from my Patreon. I'm going to go ahead and put their names right